Sony, what have you done? It pains me to say this, ladies and gentlemen. Sony has become another greedy, scummy publisher and company. And it pains me to say that, because as someone who actually likes video games and someone who doesn't give a crap about consoles, it honestly pains me. This is not a fanboy video, okay? I could give a shit about the consoles, because let's be honest, consoles do the same shit. If you're someone like me who actually loves video games, and not just the console that you're playing them on, and not just the console that you're using to play those video games that you're supposed to love, I could give a shit about Xbox and PlayStation, okay? I love both because they both are supposed to provide the same thing, and that's playing video games. So this is obviously not a fanboy video, okay? This is about Sony ruining PlayStation and potentially ruining the entire gaming industry. We are living in a day and age where you can't really spend too much money on video games. I said this in my last video about Game Pass because it's true, okay? Ask anyone who is not rich and is actually on a budget and someone who's just trying to survive these days in these hard times. You cannot spend too much money on video games because that money is needed to put food on your table and to pay your bills, and most importantly, to survive. Unless you want to become homeless and then you won't have shit. So ask any working man or family who is on a budget, you can't spend too much money on video games unless you've got a little bit of money to burn if you get a big bonus from work. But my point is, for anyone who is not filthy rich, it's hard. It's hard out there. So paying $60 for a game is already a little much. And I already know that rich folk and people who don't struggle with financial issues will probably justify this shit. And for all those people out there, congratulations for having all the money to burn and for all the money to literally swim in. Not all of us have that same amount of money and wealth as you. So $60 for a game should be the maximum amount, okay? Especially for just the base game alone. $60 should be the maximum amount, okay? I understand that bigger games take a lot of time and take a lot of work and take a lot of profit to make. So I can understand games being $60, okay? I'm okay with that. It's a little much for me too, but I could understand it. But why are we suddenly raising the price an extra $10? Why are we making video games even more expensive than they already are? Why the extra $10 price? Why? Why raise it that extra $10? For what? What is the reason for making video games an extra $10 more? Making them a little expensive than they already are to make it just a little bit harder for people who can't always afford them. Like I already said, not everyone is filthy rich. Not everyone is extremely wealthy. Not everyone is financially secure. For some people, and a good majority of them, especially these days when the economy is kind of shit, it is hard out there. And for people who have a passion such as video games, obviously, why are you trying to make it harder for them? And even if you are rich, or even if you are wealthy, or not financially insecure, why would you want to pay that much for just a video game? Video games should not cost that much money. I understand that video games are extremely popular, suppressing even films and TV, but still, I understand how expensive the gaming industry is, but $70 for one single game with no additional DLC or bonus features or anything, just the base game. And that is exactly what Sony is doing. And yes, this is about The Last of Us remake. The fact that Naughty Dog and Sony are asking you $70 for a version of The Last of Us that you already brought years ago, but Now you're buying it again because, oh wow, it's got better graphics. $70 just for better graphics, because graphics are definitely what make the game. Yeah, it's not about the gameplay, it's not about the story, it's not about anything. It's just about graphics and visuals, because graphics gotta look good to please all those hardcore visual fanboys, eh? Look at these details. Look how detailed the graphics are. Although the game is shit, the graphics are good, so it's immediately a good game. And the bad part is, I was actually excited for The Last of Us Remake. I was hoping it would have everything from The Last of Us 2 in terms of gameplay. I understand The Last of Us 2 is shit, but the gameplay for The Last of Us 2 was fun as fuck. Bashing people's brains in and watching them slowly drop dead from the injuries that you inflicted on them, and watching their souls slowly leave their body as you are the last thing they see before they leave this world. It was satisfying. It made you feel strong and powerful. It almost makes you want to go outside and see if it feels the same way in real life. I was hoping they would add that same fun and brutality to the first Last of Us with this remake. But of course, it's exactly the same. You see, a remake is very different from a remaster. A remaster is just a version of an older game that has better visuals and graphics and better frame rates. A remake is supposed to be a reimagining of a game that the remake is based on, but it's doing it in a different way, either with different gameplay or a slightly different story. That's what a remake is. And the fact that they're calling The Last of Us a remake, The Last of Us Remake, is stupid. It probably has everything to do with the fact that they're charging $70. Like, oh, it's a remake, so it's gonna cost you $70 because it's not just a simple remaster, it's a remake. Yeah, bullshit. The gameplay is the exact same, and so is the story and everything else. The only thing that they are using to justify paying $70 for is the graphics. That's it. This is no different from what Rockstar was doing with GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced, and now Sony is doing the exact same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony actually encouraged Rockstar to do that same thing with GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced, because Sony thinks that just because the game has better graphics, it should cost you more. Yeah, bullshit. Video games should not cost $70 in the first place. $60 is already a decent asking price. It's not bad nor good. It's just alright. Alright? It's still a little much for me personally, but I would rather have it be $60 than $70, okay? The thing that pisses me off, what is the extra $10 charge for? Why did they add that extra $10? What was the meaning of that? Sony is only focused on one thing, and that is squeezing as much money out of the consumer as possible. Sony and PlayStation Studios put absolutely no time or effort into the games that they are making. And The Last of Us Remake is a prime example of that. I remember back in the PS3 days, PlayStation had so much with their exclusives. You had such a fine mix. You didn't just have God of War and Uncharted. You had other games. You had Resistance. You had Killzone. You had a good amount of RPGs. You had survival horror games. You had some decent car racing games. What does PlayStation have now? What do they have now? The only new IPs I have seen from PlayStation is Ghost of Tsushima and Bloodborne. I haven't seen anything new from PlayStation for quite a bit. But that's besides the point, okay? That's besides the point. And if you people think that they're only going to charge $70 for The Last of Us Remake, you're wrong. From now on, all of Sony's exclusives are going to cost you $70. $70! And the reason why Sony's greed is going to spread to the rest of the gaming industry is because PlayStation Studios and Sony play a huge role in the gaming industry. So if other companies and developers see that Sony has successfully charged people $70 for games without facing any backlash, you know they're going to follow in Sony's footsteps and also start charging $70 for their games as well, because if it works for PlayStation and if it works for Sony, it's going to work for them too. This is going to ruin the gaming industry. Games are already a little too much money. Now you're going to be charged $70 just for the base game alone. The only time a game should cost $70 is if it is coming with additional DLC. That is the only time a game should cost over $60 because that justifies the extra couple of bucks you're paying. But Sony is literally asking you to pay an extra $10 for just the base game alone and nothing else. And this is only for PS5 games, by the way. So maybe you're thinking, well, oh, it's because they're next-gen games, they look better and they have higher frame rate. That's a terrible excuse because, first of all, you already paid $500 for the PS5, which is the next-gen console that these games are on, right? You already pay $500 for the console, and the console is what is supposed to give you those next-gen visuals and those next-gen graphics and improved frame rate. You buy the console because games are now supposed to run smoother and look better on the console. But now they're asking you to pay $70 just to experience the power of your console that you already paid $500 for. That's a terrible excuse. You already paid the money to have a next-gen console. But now they want you to pay $70 to have next-gen games because, oh, the next-gen games look better. They have better graphics and better frame rates and better visuals. But the console already gives you that. You already paid the money for the console. An old console or an older console or a current-gen console is not going to provide you with those next-gen graphics and visuals. So I'm thinking to myself, I already paid $500 for the console, so now I have to pay extra money for the games too, just to experience the games? That's a terrible excuse. Why do you think next-gen upgrades or next-gen patches are free? Because it's a bonus for actually switching over to next-gen. Because now you can actually experience those games on a console that will give you higher frame rates and better graphics. But now Sony over here thinks that you should be charged for those next-gen versions of those games. Because let's not forget, this is a remaster of the original Last of Us. It's not a remake. Okay, I don't care what any of you dumbasses say. This is not a remake. This is just a remaster disguised as a remake. The Resident Evil 2 and 3, those are actual proper remakes because they are different from the original games that they were based on. The Last of Us remake, on the other hand, is not. It is literally the same game with just a fresh coat of paint. That alone is not worth paying an extra $10. The original Last of Us didn't even cost $60. So now they're asking you to pay $70 for this shit? And that's besides the point as well. Video games should not cost $70, especially when it's just the base game. And this is why Sony is so greedy. They're giving you less for more. That's all they want from you. They're using these greedy, scummy tactics to squeeze as much money out of us as possible. Why do you think they only raised the price an extra $10? Just so they could get a little bit of extra money out of us, just to squeeze a couple of extra cents out of us. And if you think this is not going to spread to other developers and other game companies, you're wrong. Activision is already doing this themselves. The next-gen version of the Call of Duty games are over $60, and that's just because it's a next-gen version. You should not have to pay extra money for a simple next-gen version. You buy a next-gen console to experience its capabilities. You shouldn't have to pay for what the console already has when you already paid for the console. It's stupid and greedy. $70 for a next-gen game is stupid. You already paid for the next-gen console and its next-gen capabilities. But now companies like Sony think you should be paying extra for the games for that console. It's stupid and it's fucking scummy. But it's worse for PlayStation because now they're going to be doing this with mostly all of their games. Anyone who denies this is being delusional. If they're doing it with The Last of Us, which is arguably one of their best games, you think they're not going to do this with God of War? You think they're not going to do this with the next Uncharted? Sony is going to start charging $70+ for all of their games. And now other developers are going to see how it's working out for them. And if they see that Sony and PlayStation have successfully charged people more without facing backlash or consequence, they will follow in Sony's footsteps. And if you think this is not greedy, you're a fucking idiot. You are an absolute fucking idiot. $70 for a video game is ridiculous. Because, especially when it's just the base game, why would you raise the price an extra $10 from what it already was just for the base game? I don't understand it. I literally don't understand it. Why take the perfect price of $60 and raise it an extra $10? What is the point of that? Oh, it's because it's on next gen. It's the next gen version, so you gotta pay an extra $10 just to experience the capabilities of your next gen console, because that's pretty much what it is. The game is designed for next gen consoles, and you buy that console, you buy a next gen console to experience both the console's capabilities and how those next gen games perform on that console. But you already paid $500 for the console. Why should we be charged just to get the games for it now? That's fucking ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Just for the next gen version, it's stupid. If anything, the next gen version should be free if you already own the normal version. Because you already paid money for the next gen version. You already paid money for a console that has better graphics and could run that game at a higher frame rate and with better visuals. Why should you be forced to pay extra for that when you already paid for the console? Sony is doing this clearly because they are anti-consumer. Sony is only focused on one thing. They are using the reputation of their games to charge $70 because they think their games are so good that they could just charge us an extra $10 for what?
But The Last of Us is the best game of all time, Mr. Rage. Mr. Rage, you're just a salty Xbox fanboy, Mr. Rage. The Last of Us is the best game of all time. Ellie and Joel, they're so adorable together, the father and daughter duo. The Last of Us changed my life. I used to be a deadbeat. Now I'm a doctor, all because of The Last of Us, and I'm successful, and I have 4 children and a beautiful wife and a big home. The Last of Us is not the best game of all time, and even if it was, no video game should cost $70. A good developer puts passion and love into their video games. A good developer who makes a video game make it because they want to share their ideas with the world, and they wanted to create something wonderful for the people that would appreciate it. That's what a good developer would do. And a good developer would not try and squeeze money out of the people that are supposed to be enjoying their games. Why do you think indie games don't cost that much money? Because good indie games come from skilled and passionate people who genuinely want to create something wonderful, something amazing for people who love video games. That's what a good developer is made of, because they themselves love video games just like I do. A passionate developer creates a video game not to just make money, but because they actually want to create something amazing, something beautiful, something that will make them unforgettable. That's what a good and passionate game developer would do. And you know, I'm not even blaming PlayStation Studios, because PlayStation's games are good. This is all Sony. PlayStation rocks, okay? Remember how good PS3 was? Remember how good PS4 was? PS4 was decent. PS3 was amazing. Sony is ruining both their own console and themselves. For anyone who can already not really afford $60 worth of games, or just a single game, anyone who does not have all the money in the world, or is not filthy rich or extremely wealthy, will agree with this. Video games already cost a little too much, and Sony is trying to make it even more expensive. I never thought it would be Sony. I honestly never thought it would be Sony. Back in my day on PS4 and PS3, we never paid $70 for a game. When I had my PS4, the most money I ever paid for a PlayStation game was either $29.99 or $40. That is the highest price I ever paid for any PlayStation game. I remember the Uncharted remastered collection cost me $40. $40. How could Sony and PlayStation go from charging you $40 for a collection of their best games, and now they're charging you $70 for a shitty remake?
that's not even a remake, but is instead a lame, lame cash grab. Sony has fallen, and it is extremely painful to watch. So painful. Sony has become anti-consumer, because now Sony only cares about making money. They don't care about the consumer. They don't care about making people feel like their money was actually well spent. Like what they are paying for is actually worth it. Instead, they are literally trying to rip people off right in front of them. And it's horrible. It's honestly a horrible thing to see. Because PlayStation used to be so good. It used to be so good. The PS5, it's not even a bad console. I want to buy a PS5. But if Sony is going to start charging me $70 for games, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. You don't even pay $60 for some of the better games out there. Some of the best games of these years do not even cost $60. So why the fuck should I pay $70 now just for Sony's games? And like I said earlier, this is going to spread to other parts of the gaming industry. Other companies and other developers are going to see this, and they're going to think to themselves, well, if Sony can do it, I guess we can do it too. Put that $70 price tag on there, slap it on there. Let's charge $70 for our games, because they're definitely worth it. Like I said, the only time a game should cost more than $60 is if it's actually coming with something that makes it worth that extra $10. Like either additional DLC or something else. Actually, no. DLC is the only thing. $70 for a game that comes with either additional or even all of the DLC. Yeah, let's make it that. A game should cost $70 if it comes with all of the DLC, like a season pass, like a season pass, especially for a single player game. Especially for a single player game. That's the only time I would feel okay paying $70 for a game, because at least then you actually feel like you're getting your money spent well. Because you think to yourself, well, it's $70 because I'm getting the game, which is $60, and I'm paying that extra $10, which makes it $70, for the DLC. So then it just makes it worth it. But Sony wants you to pay the extra the extra $10 for just the base game. Fucking stupid. And we are not even finished. That's right. We are not even finished. Sony has become so greedy that it has literally spread and is now affecting us people on Xbox. That's right. Sony and their greediness is now starting to affect us Xbox players. Because in case you haven't already figured out or haven't heard, Sony is now paying developers to keep their games off of Game Pass. And the reason for this is because Sony sees that Game Pass allows people to play games for free for a good price. And let's be honest, if you see an opportunity to get something for free, something that should usually cost you a lot of money, but you have an opportunity to get for free, obviously you're going to do that. And Sony knows that, which is why they are now trying to keep games off of Game Pass, because they know that if people could play some of the best video games for free on Game Pass, then they're not going to have any reason to buy anything on PlayStation, whether it be their exclusives or the PlayStation version of a game. Because here's the thing, there could be a game on PlayStation that you have to pay for, and that very same game could be on Xbox Game Pass. And Sony knows that, and it's not even just that. There are very good games on Game Pass that Sony knows people are going to want to play. And with Game Pass, people can play those games for free for only $15 a month. So what Sony is trying to do now, instead of changing and actually trying to be more consumer friendly and actually being a good company that cares for us, instead Sony is just trying to keep games off of our Game Pass instead of actually changing for the better, because Microsoft is actually a good company and Xbox is good because Xbox actually cares for us, or else they wouldn't have given us Game Pass, because Microsoft knows, even they know, that paying $60 for a game is a little much. And imagine paying $70. Even Microsoft knows that $60 is a little too much for a game these days. That's why they made Game Pass, to give people the opportunity to make it a little bit easier for them, to ease the worriness of spending too much money. And so that way they don't have to worry about it. Microsoft has given us the ability and the opportunity to make our lives easier, to make us happier, and to make it easier to truly enjoy our hobby and to enjoy our pastime and our passion. If video games even mean that much to you, like, for people who love video games just as much as I do, you know that video games are so much more than just a simple hobby. And Xbox has given us the ability to live out that hobby and to just do what we love even easier with Game Pass. While Sony, on the other hand, is actively trying to rip you off with $70 games. And what Sony is doing now is they are trying to keep games off of Game Pass because they know that people will instead want to play games for free, because obviously who the fuck wants to pay $70 for just the base game when $60 was already plenty? So yeah, there's that to worry about. Sony is now trying to fuck with us. They're trying to fuck with us and Xbox by keeping games off of Game Pass. If that doesn't show you just how scummy Sony is, listen to this now. And this is something Sony has been doing for a long time. PlayStation is known for trying to get exclusive content from games that come out for both Xbox and PlayStation. Sony does this to get people to buy the PlayStation version instead of the Xbox version. And although it's greedy, it's a pretty smart fucking tactic. Sony is greedy, but they're smart and fucking greedy, I guess. Because essentially what they do is, when a game is coming out for both Xbox and PlayStation, they approach that developer and have that developer deliver exclusive content that is only on the PlayStation version, while it is not on the Xbox version. This encourages people to buy the PlayStation version instead of the Xbox version. Sony is literally trying to steal business from Xbox. And not only that, but they're also making it anti-consumer for people who aren't even on PlayStation. Like, for anyone who's on PlayStation, not only is it bad for you guys because now you're gonna be paying $70 for games, but now Sony is even fucking with us people on Xbox, because when they do this exclusivity crap, they are essentially taking content away from us Xbox and PC players. And Sony does this for, you guessed it, more profits. Let's add it all together. $70 for their games, keeping games off of Game Pass, and getting exclusive content. And you know what's the bad part? Sony was actually upset about the fact that Xbox will now be doing the very thing that allowed Sony to steal business from Xbox for fucking years. Sony was upset about that shit. Sony is just as salty as their delusional ass fanboys, who I no doubt are probably on this video right now complaining. And I can give a shit about all you PlayStation fanboys. I have already made plenty of videos about y'all fucking faggots. I don't give a shit about y'all. Like, fuck all you PlayStation fags, honestly. For anyone who defends $70 for games, you are actively contributing to the downfall of the gaming industry. Video games should cost $50 to $60. That is a perfect price for a game. And even $60 is a little much, especially when it's $60 for just the base game and no additional DLC. But now they want to charge you an extra $10 again for just the base game, when they were already charging $60, which was already kind of bad, because let's be honest, $60 for just the base game and literally nothing else? Come on. Now they want to charge you $70. $70 for just the base game. Less for more. Thanks a lot, Sony. This is sad. This is honestly depressing because I love video games. I am someone who is extremely passionate about video games because, to me, video games are more than just a simple hobby. Video games are something that could take you from reality, which is, life, obviously. Video games can take you from living out your normal life and taking you on an adventure, a journey. Video games are not just a hobby. For anyone who thinks that, y'all have been playing video games for as long as I have. I've been gaming since I was fucking 3, okay? Video games are more than just video games. They take you on a journey. They take you on an unforgettable adventure. One that is so amazing that it literally strips you and takes you right out of reality and puts you in a brand new world filled with excitement, adventure, and at times horror and terrifyingness. Or just straight up action and fun. Video games are amazing because they're not just video games, they're a brand new world. Video games take you out from your seat and literally drag you into an entirely new world. When you pick up the controller, you're not just picking up a controller. The controller and the screen that you're staring at is a gateway into an entire new dimension, an entire new reality that is filled with an unforgettable journey and an adventure that will be unforgettable and one that you could experience forever, for as long as you live. That's what's so amazing about video games. So when I see crap like this, it legitimately damages my soul. It makes me depressed, it makes me sad. Because video games are something that provide happiness. And when I see companies like Sony trying to use that just to make money off of us, it genuinely makes me sad. It really does. So, yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I honestly cannot believe this crap. The fall of Sony has begun and